And so often that's the number one thing when we go over a Dutch test with someone, they're terrified. They're terrified that you're not going to find anything wrong. I feel like crap. I feel like garbage. There's something going on with me. But all these other tests and all these other people say, you're fine. Oh, I don't know why there's the problem. It must be in your head. And I'm like, no, it's clearly not in your head. It's clearly not in your head. You obviously have issues, and we can see it here with your hormone panel. And by working on those specific things, that's what starts to make all the difference. Hey there, welcome to the Female Health Solution podcast, where we discuss women's health, hormones, and everything else in between. Join me as we dive into the tools that you need to live your healthiest life. Hey there, everyone. Welcome back to the Female Health Solution podcast. I am your host, Dr. Beth Westy. We're going to talk about a specific case today, someone that I was chatting with and started working with recently, and her story, because I hear this story all the time. So, brief history of her story, and I would love for you to just listen and absorb and look at any pieces of this that also align to you. Now, this is a gal who she is very, very smart, very resilient, very resourceful, and not someone who would just sit around and wait for things to change or get better, or wish and hope that things are going to improve, or anything of that sort. This gal is a go-getter, and she is smart as a whip, right? So things really started for her around 4 or 5 years ago. There was just a phase of life where she was under a lot of stress. Now, she is, or at the time was in her late 30s, and busy working mom of 2, had kids, was done, was active. She's like, I've always been active. I've always belonged to the same gym, go very frequently, very regularly, have done so for years. She's like, I love my job. It's a busy job. It's a stressful job sometimes, but I really love it. And then she has a great family life, all those things. She's like, I really feel like I can't complain about too much about my life. I've got a great family. I've got a great job. I've got great friends. So I don't understand why I just feel like garbage and why my health is suffering so much. Sound familiar to anybody else? So things started for her again about 4 or 5 years ago. She started to notice the beginning stages of her hormones just kind of flaring up, a lot of fatigue, a lot of issues with just having the energy and stamina to get through the day. Her going to the gym actually started to become less frequent. She still went, but when she would push herself, she noticed it didn't feel as good. She's like, I just can't make it through my workouts like I used to, all of that stuff. And some days she just would skip it altogether to try and rest more. Then she had other mood swings, irritability, and she's thinking, I'm just tired. It's just me, blah, 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 all that stuff. She noticed her hair started falling out. And then, of course, because if you're thinking about the timeline of everything, right, all of this stuff started happening, and she was just sort of pushing through it, trying to manage, making sure she's taking vitamins, trying to get extra rest, right, doing all the things that people normally do. But then what happens, right? The pandemic stuff started happening, and life got super stressful. Now, right before all of this happened, again, about 4 to 5 years ago, when she was just starting to notice these things happen, it was because there was a phase of life that she went through that was kind of stressful. Overall, she's like, yes, this is great. That is great. But she had a really stressful time with her job. They were doing some layoffs. She was really concerned that she was going to get laid off, or her group or team wasn't going to continue on with the company. So they were really trying to go above and beyond so that she wouldn't lose her job. She also started having issues in her marriage. And she's like, I didn't know if it was because of the stress I was under or that type of a thing. Then she also had some issues in her extended family, right? There was a distant relative that had died, but it created a lot of family drama. For those of you that have been through a family member dying, and if things are not very clearly laid out, or even if they are very clearly laid out in a will, how some people act. If you know what I mean, right? It can be insane, right? And she shared with me some of the details. But she's like, I can't believe I'm related to some of these people and the horrific things that they're saying and doing because of this. She's like, it's not their money. It's not their house. They didn't have anything to do with this. Why are they so? I was like, listen, people get nuts. People get crazy when something like this happens, and you never know until after the fact, right? And she's like, this is not what this person would have wanted at all, etc. Right. So all of these things sort of happened within about a 6-month span of time. And she was managing, she started to notice the fatigue, everything else. Her hair started falling out. And she's like, okay, this is just, I can manage this. I can navigate this. I can make it through. But then the pandemic. And then everything in the world changed. Working from home, having to do homeschooling with her kids or help them with school from a home while she's working, all of that stuff. Then her husband got laid off and he was, out of a job for almost a year. And they were really, really struggling and all these things that she just kept going, right? She just kept plowing through. At the same time, though, she's noticing I'm trying to do my home workouts. I'm trying to eat healthy. I'm baking bread because that's what everybody seems to be doing right now. And she's like, I just started to put on weight too, right? Once things started to open up a little bit, after about a year, she decided, okay, I can't manage this on my own. Things have been continuing for too long. Things have been going on now at least a year or two, right? Couple of years now. I got to do something. I got to figure this out. So she went into her regular practitioner. They were like, oh, let's run some tests. Let's just do something. She's like, oh, thank goodness. Yeah. Oh, everything's fine. You look fine. Just try not to stress as much. What? I'm sorry. What? Okay. And then she's like, okay, well, I guess I'll just, try to work on the stress. And so, at this point in life, her husband had got a different job. Things were kind of starting to go back to normal. Kids are back in school. The world is starting to move forward from this point. And she's like, okay, phew, I'm going to get my life back because the world is kind of coming back in alignment here. Her health was not improving. Nothing was changing. In fact, things were still continuing to get worse for her. She started going back to the gym when it had opened up again, and she still struggled. Same things. All the same things were happening, and still she was getting worse. Couldn't understand it. So she went back to the doctor after about 6 months, and she's like, yeah, I don't know. I've been really trying to work on stress. I've been trying to do these other things. I've been going to yoga. I've gotten a few massages even. It just doesn't seem to be making a dent or helping. And they were like, well, your blood work was fine before. We won't run any more tests. And, we don't see anything else wrong. See you later. And she got really frustrated. She left, was kind of irritated at how she was brushed off, made an appointment with a different doctor. That other doctor within the same clinic and facility said pretty much the same thing. We looked at all your stuff. Yeah, there's nothing wrong. Da-da-da-da-da. By the time she saw a third practitioner, because she was like, they're not even listening to me. I'm rushed in and out of here. And she's like, I get that people are in the healthcare business are kind of burned out, right? And this is now a year later after that. So she's been struggling for over 3 years now. And she's like, I'm just so sick and tired of this. I'm so sick and tired of feeling how I feel. Yeah, I understand. Completely understand. So what do we do? What do we do about this? Oh, okay. She just kept moving forward, trying things, trying supplements, throwing different things at it. And something she threw at it made it worse for her. But she's like, I don't even know where to go from here. I really don't. This was until she came across some of the information that I put out. And I believe it was actually a YouTube video that she found first. And she was searching and was like determined to find the solution to this. She's like, I feel like I'm crazy, but I'm not crazy. I know I felt better than this, and I know that I can feel better again. I know this, and that there's something wrong. I feel it in my bones that there's something wrong, right? But these 3 other practitioners that she saw, and they're not bad doctors, right? That's not what I'm saying. They just kept saying like, oh, well, you're fine. And then finally the last one said, there's nothing more we can do for you. Unless you're, thinking that you want to see a psychologist, right? A psychiatrist, get some help, some mental help overall. That was the solution they were coming to. That was it. Yeah. And she's like, what? No. She's like, no, I know I've had some stress and things like that. But she's like, I really can't complain about life. I feel like I have a really good life. That's not it. There's something wrong with me. And they were like, well, whatever's wrong with you, we just can't help you here anymore. That's what made her so mad. That's what infuriated her. And that's what she went searching for, found a video, got started, got a Dutch test, went over it. And when she went over it with one of my team members, with one of the docs on our team. She actually broke down in tears. And she's like, I'm not a crier. And I remember following up and talking. And then we talked in our first phone call together when we started working together in the program. She was like, I'm not a crier. I don't normally do this. I don't normally, fall apart or whatever, right? That's not it, right? She's like, I just can't believe I felt like this for so long and had so many people dismiss me, tell me there wasn't anything, they couldn't find anything, and then tell me that they couldn't help me. And then with the Dutch test, be able to see very clearly, black and white numbers. The cortisol levels were terrible. She didn't have any androgens, right? There was issues with her testosterone levels that impacts the hair on your head. So part of the reason her hair was falling out, that impacts your energy, stamina, right? Muscle building capacity, all these things. So her, success or lack of success there at the gym, not being able to do her workouts, her hair falling out, the fatigue she was having, not feeling like herself, all of that stuff was related to her hormones. And we saw it very, very clearly on her Dutch report because that is a urine test, not a blood test. There's so much more information that you can see from a urine test that identifies what's going on in the system. And once we started working on it, game changer. Now, change doesn't happen overnight, but even just a short couple of months that we've been working on this, she's had a massive turnaround. Being able to have a ton more energy, go to work, feel like she's actually being more effective at work. She's like, I can't believe how much I'm getting done now during the day. Women always measure their value by the productivity you have, right? We're always thinking like, oh, I got more done. This is great. I feel good because I got more done, right? That's a whole other podcast to talk about. But that's what she was really looking at and saying, yeah, I feel like myself again. I'm starting to feel like myself again. I can't believe I wasted so much time trying to find answers and continuing to talk to different practitioners that kept telling me there was nothing wrong. I wish I would have done this test years earlier. And I said, listen, I totally understand that, but at least we're here now. We're working on things now. And your system has this amazing ability to improve as long as we give it that opportunity. And that's what we're doing. We're providing it with the opportunity. Just remember that nothing is so far gone that you can't, make improvements. And so often that's the number one thing that when we go over a Dutch test with someone, they're terrified. They're terrified that you're not going to find anything wrong. I feel like crap. I feel like garbage. There's something going on with me. But all these other tests and all these other people say, you're fine. Oh, I don't know why there's the problem. It must be in your head. And I'm like, no, it's clearly not in your head. It's clearly not in your head. You obviously have issues, and we can see it here with your hormone panel. And by working on those specific things, that's what starts to make all the difference, right? That's what starts to make all the difference. And that's one of my favorite things to work on. So if you have not gotten a Dutch test, if you are interested in really jumping on board, getting started, working together, going through the program that's really going to not only help identify the issue, but take you step by step through that process. Take you from the place you're at now down the path of actual improvement where you can notice it. And then other people in your life start to notice it. That's my other favorite thing is when people are like, oh my gosh, my husband said something to me about, I like look different. My face looks different. Da, 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 da. I'm like, yeah, because you're just not as puffy and inflamed, right? My kids told me that I'm in a better mood, that I seem happier. I'm not hollering at them as much. Yeah, because you feel better. When you feel better, naturally, your body is not holding you back anymore from being the best version of you. And that's what we do in this program. That's what we, move forward towards. And again, help you every step of the way. And anytime there is anything going on where you feel like, I'm not sure about this, or am I in the right path here? Or how do I navigate this? That's what we're here to help with. That's what we navigate. So you do not want to miss out on this. If this story sounds like you, if any of these points of this story have kind of touched a chord with you and you're like, yep, I can relate with that. Yep, that sounds like me. Yep, I've been down that road before too. This is the program for you. Do not hesitate. Click the link, get started, because you are just a few short months away from feeling like a whole different version of you, right? And if you don't change anything, nothing will change for you. Just like this gal said, she's like, I wish I would have done this years ago. I know, I hear that all the time. But you're here now, you're listening to this now, you're watching this now, and now is the time to get started so that in a few short months, you're on your way, you're feeling better and on the right path. So that's what I got for you guys today. Please let me know if you have any other questions, comments, anything. That's what I'm here for, to help support you moving forward. Otherwise, make sure you click the link, resources, get started right now. All right, have a great rest of your day, and I will see you next time. Thank you for joining me on today's episode. If you would like more information, just head on over to drbethwesty.com for all the show notes and information from today's episode. And if you're looking for more community, more support, you can find and follow me on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, TikTok, and I would love to see you there.